Cool. Okay. The Promised Neverland, episode 10, 130146. I'm not really sure how I feel about this episode. The tone was done well, but I feel like looking at it afterwards and trying to review it, it's not something I have, things to really say. So let's just start off with how it started. So, obviously started off with kind of Norman explaining about the cliff and go into the details about the cliff, and he also actually figured out the actual shape of the area, and he gave that kind of information for Ray to work with. So he kind of said, we are it's 60 degree by 60 degree, so he did the math, and they were that's a hexagon, and what's probably on the other side of us is these are the different plants. Straight opposite us is the headquarters for the demons and the mothers and things like that. So it's interesting to see that kind of stuff. It's more good for world building kind of for us, because obviously we want to know that kind of stuff, and it's interesting. I wonder if there's some kind of symbolism behind the hexagon at all. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. I don't know. But it was interesting stuff to see. But a majority of this episode felt quite somber, because it was for real, Norman had actually accepted his death, and he was ready to die, and he was he gave his final hug to them. He's thank you so much for you two to be my friends. I'm incredibly grateful for that, and I enjoyed that quite a bit. Whereas my kind of concern about this whole thing, I'll talk about it. I think obviously it was something, because it was this can't be it, right? Because it felt bad, and okay, let's just go over all the little bits for it. So, majority of it is kind of just we got to see kind of a bit of Norman, Emma, and Ray's backstory, kind of how they grew close. Obviously, when Norman was ill, Emma was the only one who kind of spoke to him, because obviously, well, anyone else could have, but Emma was the one who kept going after him, because well, you're lonely when you're upset. You're upset and when you're alone and you're ill, so she's there to try and cheer him up, and that's kind of what Emma's character is. Like I said, I've said a few times, but traditional shonen, that's who she is. And Ray, that was a funny little bit. It was quite nice seeing them as kids as well, proper kids. It was they were cute, especially Emma and Ray was, because when Isabel went up to him, why do you think that? And then just little Ray in the background, just because this book says idiots don't catch colds, and it was okay. And it was nice, but it's also weird to see in this kind of relationship after knowing everything that's gone on too. So as it carries on, of course, it's nice, because obviously he's you only, this is the one thing he wanted with him till the end, these memories, and that's what it represents, these memories of Emma and Ray to stay with him, these cherished thoughts that they had. And as it carries on, obviously, to say their goodbye, and the little girl who was who really Norman's really upset and in tears and everything, and obviously everyone's kind of saying their goodbyes, and Don and Gilda, they're upset, but they're still we've got to carry on. There's nothing we can do. And obviously Emma's big distraction, I was I gasped, which was great, because obviously it really surprised me and shocked me, but in the best way, because I was are we actually doing it? Is this escape time now? And then it wasn't, because Norman very quickly shut it down, because imagine how it would have went. She went all distracted. She was going to smash her leg into the ground to cause herself a lot of pain, so Isabel would have to look after her, and then Norman would have made the leg for it. And obviously Norman very quickly dismantled the situation, because he's once again, he said, he's ready to die. And this actually explains why back in episode 5, obviously he smiled, because maybe he already made the will, okay, I need to sacrifice, for us to escape, I've got to sacrifice myself. And maybe that's why he accepted, that's why, obviously got that smile there of him just I've got it, that kind of thing. That makes sense for me there. So I also liked, but yeah, really, Isabel as a villain is concerning for me. Well, because I have to go from my own thought process with Isabel, right? Because it's set up very early on, she is the main villain, right? She is the person who's their main obstacle to escape, because obviously she's working for the mother, for the grandmothers and the other mothers and the demons, right? So, and as we know, she got this reputation of being best of the best. She she mercilessly broke Emma's leg like nothing. But, and obviously that threat, I thought that threat was so good because of how she was you cause a commotion, I'll kill you. The fact her warped love has gone to this point where she's, but her pride maybe as a mother is kind of taken over for that, right? But what I mean is obviously that ending with Norman walking over, and then of course she goes they're having a little conversation, your suitcase is empty, it's there's nothing I have to take, there's nothing I get to take there. The fact we see is it's more slit, it's this. Yeah. Norman's probably not dead, I'll just say it. I don't think Norman's dead. To me, in a series like this, you can only confirm if someone's dead if you actually see their dead body. And the fact is, of course, you know, it didn't happen like it happened with Connie. You know, they're like, as far as we know, like, there wasn't a waiting room scene or anything like that. We did see the in-between bits for that, so I get why that's the suspense. But the fact is, Norman is such a prevalent character to the series. He's one of the main three. And, like, obviously, like, maybe this is me trying to be too optimistic about it, but I can't see Norman being dead because of that kind of, like, the build-up for it. It was like, he's in all the openings, he's in there, everything. Like, the way they've built up, like, the way to me, like, Norman's been that important of a character, I can't imagine them killing him. And if they have, fair play. And, like, it's obviously, like, his death is going to mean a lot for the series, but obviously, like, the fact is, if Isabel hasn't actually killed him, is Isabel that bad of a person? And maybe, like, I've been hyping her up too much, the villain in my head, because, like I said, she's supposed to be this main obstacle, so whenever she does something villainous, and, like, I've been, like, waiting to see it, it's extra villainous to me. So, like, obviously that line where she's like, if you cause any commotion, I'll kill you, I was like, oh my god, that's so scary. Because, like, it's also the tone she said it in. But, like, maybe she's not a bad guy, and that's going to sound ridiculous. I mean, like, but, I mean, she broke Emma's leg, you know, but maybe that was to prevent their escape or something. Like, maybe there's something more there with Isabel. That's my thought process in any case, because the fact is, if Norman's alive, why would she leave him alive? Apparently only mothers are kept alive, unless there's some missing facts that we don't know about, and maybe Norman's actually going to change sides or something. There's a lot it could be. And obviously, like, this kind of stuff deeply affects Ray and Emma. Obviously, like, the rest of them, like, it affects everyone, true, because, like, and then my man Phil. I didn't even mention my man Phil, who, my obsession with this character, who seems to be just lurking always in the background doing stuff, I feel like he's got to do something big, and maybe, I think he might be Emma's probably my favourite character, but Phil's probably number 2, because, I don't know, I just keep thinking Phil's going to do something. Any case, you know, that was just a really sad scene. Like, basically, they're depressed because obviously, and they've like, Ray has literally given up because, like, his whole plan was to save. Like, he didn't care about a lot of the people as long as those people who were closest to him and most important to him got out of there, and that was Emma and Norman. And the fact is, he felt like he failed, right? So he's like, I can't live with myself. So he just, you know, they just wallowed in depression for up to 2 months. But that scene with Emma and Isabel too was good. Like, obviously, because they introduced the fact it was about mothers, and, like, the moment that we heard that, like, about when Crone explained how children become mothers, is the I knew something had to happen between Isabel and Emma. Like, at least this conversation had to happen. She was like, you know, I could recommend you to be a mother because I think you'd be good at it. You know, you can look after these. And just, like, that bit of her, like, looking us straight in the eye, like, you've lost. Just accept the despair and the defeat, and that's it. And you're gone. And, like, just enjoy it. And then, of course, like, enjoy your life. That's all you can do, and so you can move on. And then, even Emma, like I said, the reason I like Emma so much because she's such a predictable shonen character, well, to the end, is that she was like, I actually cannot give up on this. She's like, fine, you just go die then. And, like, Isabel really kind of changed the character, but that also made me concerned, because isn't, like, one of the points of raising these children to raise them was, like, happy, healthy kids, because then apparently, like, their minds taste the best, right? So obviously, if, like, the last 2 months, these star feasts, like, you know, these prizes for the feast, the Tilfari, is just suddenly, like, malnutritioned, like, well, you know, basically becomes rotten quicker because of this depressants, but she doesn't really care. She's like, I've won, I beat them, kind of thing. And 2 months pass. And, like, I didn't even mention my man Phil, but, like, that scene actually really made me sad where Phil's just, like, holding back his tears as he hugs Emma, and he's like, Emma, because, like, she's obviously really sad and depressed, and she doesn't do a lot. And, you know, like I said, like, Norman's last words to Phil was to take care of Emma. And, like, I think, like, I would like to see if this is kind of where Norman's character goes, and, like, it's out, like, if Phil's character goes, because I think this is, like I said, I think Phil's going to do something, because the amount of times he's been, like, he's the prevalent kid out of all the little kids. And, like, they keep showing him, and, like, I'm like, Phil! It's like, I just want to see what Phil does eventually. But in any case, episode ends, 2 months have passed, and basically Norman's, it's the day before it's the day before Ray's birthday. And obviously he's just, like, in by himself, and Emma goes, finds him at night, and then, you know, they have that conversation where, like, they're saying goodbye, because obviously I'm going, like, Emma, you know, I gave up on this, but you haven't, have you? You still haven't given up. And then obviously he looks at her, and that face is quite scary. I'm I'm worried for what's going to happen, because the fact is, like, I've pegged Emma this whole time as a traditional shonen character, someone who doesn't really change throughout the series, but is very much like, we can do this, we, like, believe in ourselves kind of thing, like, you know, everyone's going to come out okay. But, like, now someone actually hasn't come out okay. She's lost Norman, and Norman was very close to her. That was one of her best friends, and Isabel kind of rubbed it in her face as well, like, you've lost, like, that little conversation between them. So, like, Emma has had 2 months of thinking time and grudge building up. Of course, this is the same woman who broke her leg and ruined the first escape plan in the first place. Obviously, they didn't know about the cliff, but, you know, she broke all their hopes. And, like, so this grudge has been building up over time, and it's just getting stronger and stronger. And obviously, Emma is smart, and we know this because, like, obviously, she's one of the smartest. Her main thing is she adapts to situations and she grows from them. So this is probably the worst person to do this to. This is how Emma grows, and this is, like, that face has me very worried, because that is not a face a shonen character pulls. You wouldn't see Luffy or Naruto or Goku kind of pull that like face. That was a worrying face, and I'm worried about what Emma's going to do. But at the same time, I love it because I can't predict what's going to happen. Like, the fact is, like, that if there's anything I have to say about this series is, I feel like the pacing's off a bit at times with, like, reveals, because, like, for example, Norman, this chapter, like, this episode, might have been better as, like, I get it as, like, a chapter series, because, like, Norman's gonna die, Norman's gonna die, Norman's gonna die, and like, I would be like, how are they going to stop this? And then eventually it's revealed that, you know, Norman's probably not dead. Whereas, like, with this, it kind of gets done in one episode, the first, like, 2/3 of an episode, really, and then it's like, okay, that's it. But at the same time, like, the cliffhangers have been really good, like, especially, like, the last few ones in particular, I think have just been fantastic. Obviously, pretty much since Emma's leg got broken, like, you know, just that's been great. The cliff reveal was great, and this one was great too. I don't have any complaints about the actual endings of episodes, but I do kind of see where this series might be better, especially running it week to week as a chapter series might be. But yes, like I said, I'm concerned, but I'm excited, because, like, 2 months is a long time to plan, and I want to see what she's got, because, like, I can't, like, you know, there's no kind of hints like it was when, you know, Norman was going to escape and that was the plan, and Norman came back. Like, this time, we don't know what Emma's been up to for 2 months. We don't know what any of them have been up to for 2 months. We don't know what Don and Gilda have been doing, we don't know what Phil's been doing, we don't know what Ray's been doing. Apparently, I don't think Ray's been doing a lot because he's given up, but if she can get him back on board, then maybe that's going to be alright, because then there's actually someone there to try and go, let's save everyone. And, like, we don't know how we don't know what Emma's going to be like after 2 months of just, like, grief and grudge building, and yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much what I've got to say about this chapter. I'm so used to chapters. This episode, I have to make it clear, I have not read this series. I know I talk about chapters and stuff, but I haven't read it. I'm just watching it, and I'm still enjoying it. But what did you think of this episode? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Anything like that? Just let me know in the comments down below. If you think my opinions are bad or good or whatever, just let's have a talk about it. Yeah, give this review a like as well if you liked it, and subscribe if you want to see more, because I'm going to try and finish the rest of the series at a reasonable time. I'll try and get this hopefully out Friday-ish, maybe it'll be early Saturday morning if it is. But yes, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a good day and everything like that. Goodbye.